Hi, Senator Mark Warner here again. Day 10 of the impeachment trial. Although, I don't know about you, but for me, most of these days are starting to blur into each other. Last night, we finished the question period. I thought some good points were made on both sides. Again, I'm still a little stunned that the president's lawyers basically said it's okay to take foreign interference as long as it comes from quote-unquote credible information. That frankly blew me away and is so counter to everything that the law enforcement community and the intelligence community has been working on. I really think that makes our elections much more vulnerable this year. Now, as we go into the arguments, final arguments about whether we take witnesses or not, and frankly the bettings that unfortunately that we're probably not going to get enough of my Republican colleagues to vote for witnesses. But I, again, in good faith, just don't understand how that's a defensible position. We heard about 2 hours ago more breaking news from the Bolton book that indicates that the president, including even the president's lawyer, including Giuliani, including Bolton, were all talking about this Ukrainian interference for, political help to smear the Bidens or to, bring about this old debunked campaign that it was Ukraine rather than Russia in 2016. That they were having conversations in May of last year. I want to get with my Republican colleagues. I just, got to ask them, how stupid, how crazy, I know I've raised this before, are we all going to look if this book comes out in 60 days that has a whole lot of other relevant information? I mean, one of the things that supposedly was in the Bolton book as well was some of the president's conversations and his approach to other authoritarian leaders like Turkey. What happens if there were similar schemes being cooked up with other leaders? The public will find that out in 60 days. Shouldn't the United States Senate find that out before we reach final judgment on what is obviously an extraordinarily important decision? Couple more hours and we'll probably take this vote. On the optimistic side, I'd love to think that maybe some of these new facts will change some folks' minds. If not, we'll take a vote and it may end up being no additional witnesses, which I think would be a real shame. Then there's still a lot of questions about what the next steps are. There's some ideas floating that we may go into a couple days off and then have final arguments next week. But this is very much a moving target. I appreciate everybody who's followed these updates. Again, whether you're for the president or against the president, I think most of us, regardless of where we are in the political line, would say at least we're for the truth. And I've heard from a lot of supporters of the president, that want me to, vote a certain way, but they at least want to hear the whole truth. They want to hear from Bolton. They want to hear from Mulvaney. I hope those folks would continue to call not just me, but other senators as we wind down. I think everybody's a little punch drunk. One of the things I will give final comment is both to the House managers and, to the president's lawyers, although I got fairly upset with a couple of them the other night. I got to give them credit. It's been a long 10 days for me. It's been exponentially longer for them. And for the most part, they've continued to argue their cases articulately. So stay tuned. If we get some more breaking news, I may try to come back and give a second half of Day 10 update. But very much appreciate everybody's following and interest, and more to come. Thanks so much.